Welcome back to ZafsPodcast. Thank you all for tuning in this week. And as you can see, we're running it solo this week. This was due to my lack of organization, to be honest. So you got just me this week. But I think I've come, and I think I've come. Whoa, let's just slide by that. I think I found some content to kind of talk about for this solo podcast. I found a couple of interesting news stories that I probably want to talk about. And also kind of the trajectory of this podcast. Maybe if you guys have any feedback about what I could be doing to make things a little bit better, let me know. But I'm going to let you guys know what I'm probably going to be doing for the future of this podcast. And hopefully you guys like that sort of style of content. I might actually just start with that. So I've been getting really good feedback from doing those kind of like blind ranking games and like game style content. So I'm thinking of going down that route. And honestly, I've been really enjoying making that style kind of content. And it's good to see that people actually reciprocate, or not reciprocate, but people seem to enjoy that style of content. I see it on TikTok where my views have quadrupled and I'm getting a lot more engagement with that style of content. And I really enjoy doing that style of content. So I think I'm going to start veering towards more doing comedy game show style content, as well as doing like maybe every third episode having someone on the show who's very interesting and who has an interesting story to tell. So that's what I'm thinking. So do 2 episodes of like comedy style content, and then a third episode doing more of an interview-esque / someone talk to someone who has a really interesting story and have them on the show. So that's what I've been thinking. And you know what? I think that will work. And I'm also have other things going on in the background. I don't know if you guys saw, I did my first sort of skit style content where I did like the me fighting myself, where it's save versus travel. So that was my first attempt at doing more skit style content. And I really enjoyed doing that content. And I think I'm going to do more of that content as well. Let me know what you guys think about that as well. So because any feedback, any constructive criticism actually helps a long way, because then I can but I can try and make things a lot more palatable for people to watch, which is what I want to try and do. You know, I would like to try and do this full time, but you know, not that I haven't got my hopes up. I am trying to push for it, but I know I have to be more consistent and yeah, just see what happens. I'm enjoying it for the time being, which is what you want to be doing. And I also enjoy doing the work that I do, but that's the trajectory of the podcast. I'm going way off on a tangent talking about skit style content and things that, you know, I might do in the future, but let's stop there. Let's get into the first interesting story that I thought was pretty interesting to talk about, because just off of the face of the headline, it really kind of triggers a lot of people. And I can imagine a lot of millennials and even, what is it? I don't even know what the generation is below me. I think it's Gen Z, I think is below me or below the millennials. But anyway, this is the headline. Australians, so this is from Channel 9 News. Australians should be paying $60 a plate to eat out. Melbourne chef warns as Ginger Boy closes. Now, I guess without reading into the article, I can imagine that would be triggering a lot of people. And I have some thoughts about that already, about why I think that's ridiculous, about why people should be spending $60 a plate to be going out to eat. I'll get into that. But I can see from both sides of the story. But I think it's important to kind of get into the article, and maybe I'll have a bit of a read. What's the time? Well, we're only 5 minutes in, so, well, it's not 5 minutes, but anyway. Australians should be paying upwards of $50 for a main course meal at a restaurant if the industry is to remain solvent, according to Melbourne chef. And I'm going to absolutely butcher his name, so I apologize. I think it's Teague Azard, has this week been forced to close his popular inner Melbourne restaurant Ginger Boy after 18 years in business. Hospitality venues say they've seen their business costs soar, but customers are unwilling to see those costs reflected in their bill. Wages have increased, power and gas amenities have all increased, and the menus have not, Ezra told 9 News. He said the fundamentals of business won't stack up until diners are willing to pay as much as $60 per plate. You pay for what you get, and I think that's what it costs, he said. But Australians will be hard to convince. Recent NAB data shows dining out is the number one area Australians are reducing their spending. You know what? I'm just going to stop there. I've definitely cut back on the amount I would go out to spend. my number one expense if I was to go out is definitely eating out. So with the current climate that's in Australia right now, you can't really blame Australians for going, well, you know what? If I can make that same meal at home for a sixth of the price, why wouldn't I? And I'll give you an example. So I have found a particular butcher shop where I get my meat. I like to get grass-fed, grass-finished beef. But hopefully, and I believe it's organic and regeneratively raised. So I think it's good quality meat. And I'm able, when it's on special, I can get grass-fed, grass-finished Scotch fillet steak, which is one of the best cuts of steak you can get because of the fatty content. I can get it for about $30 a kilo. A kilo. So if I was to buy 2 kilos, that would be for like one plate at a restaurant. So just, and I know I've gone to certain pubs and I've gone to certain restaurants, and if you ask for Scotch fillet steak, and 9 times out of 10, they're not even grass-fed or grass-finished. It's a grain-fed Scotch fillet steak. And they're charging anywhere between $50 to $60 for that. And it's 250 grams. And you get a bit of salad and maybe some chips, depending on the place that you go and eat. Now, if you're spending $60 for 250 grams of Scotch fillet steak, a little bit of salad and some chips, when I can buy at $30 a kilo, so then just divide that by 4, I can get it for $7.50 for 250 gram slice of Scotch fillet steak, grass-fed, grass-finished, not grain-fed. Grass-fed, grass-finished beef, I can get that. And then buy my own ingredients for a salad that I like. So I particularly like tomato, cucumber, and onion, mixed with a little bit of olive oil, balsamic vinegar, salt, maybe a little bit of pepper, maybe. I like that. And then if I wanted to do some chips as well, whatever. I reckon I can get away with making that meal less than $12. So that's a sixth of the price that I can do at home, right? So why would I go out and get the same meal for 6 times the price? I just don't understand why anyone would do that. And you can imagine that would absolutely be the number one cost that everyone's going to be, cutting back on, is the fact that, yeah, when I go out to eat, I'm spending, anywhere between $60 or more. Or if you've got a family, it's going to be a lot more than $60. If you could be looking at upwards of nearly 150, maybe even 200 plus, depending on where you're eating. So yeah, limiting where you eat is going to be probably the biggest thing that all Australians are going to cut. And especially in the climate that we are right now, with everything being so expensive. Petrol is expensive, housing expensive, rent's expensive. Like, there's so many different things in Sydney right now that's super expensive, and it's very, very hard to kind of get ahead of it. And one of the few ways in that a lot of people are doing, or what people are doing to get in front of it, is to not go out as much. And do you blame them? No, of course not. So let's continue with the story. So recent NAB data shows dining out is the number one area Australians are reducing their spending. The majority of those surveyed, 54%, say they spent less on restaurant meals in the last 3 months, saving an average of $115 each. Separate data shows food and beverage hospitality businesses are at the greatest risk of collapse. 7% are expected to fail over the next 12 months, according to the Creator Watch data. And that's kind of the end of the story, I guess. That's from Channel 9. Yeah, I thought there was going to be a bit more to it than that, to be honest. I saw something pop up with this Teague Ezra dude about not paying his staff as much. So I don't know much about this guy, to say the least. So I don't want to comment. I just want to comment in general about paying $60 a plate. So I'm going to put my phone on mute. Apologies for that. I'll just cut this part out. food. You've got all these dirty plates and dirty dishes. Now they come and collect that. They clean that. There's a whole massive process that goes into everything that you're doing to make it convenient for you. And I guess people expect not to pay for that premium or pay for that labor, I guess, because people don't really think about that. People just, and I'm guilty of doing it, when I go out and I see a Scotch fillet steak being charged for $50 per, $50 for 250 grams plus salad plus chips, when I know I can make it for $12 at home, yeah, I'm a little bit taken back by that. But I do understand that there is other expenses that have to be taken into account, such as the rent of the place, such as paying your employees' wages, plus electricity. Like, there's so many different variables that add to that cost, and I completely understand. But in saying that, $60 is still super steep to go and spend at a restaurant. And I understand that everything's getting more and more expensive, but yeah, everything's getting more and more expensive, but wages haven't gone up in the past, I don't know how many years. So if people's wages haven't gone up and everything else has gotten more and more expensive, then what do you expect them to really go, well, you know what, I can't really stop it. I'm still going to go out and eat. So I'm just going to spend more money and not save as much money, not put themselves in a better future. How can you justify that? So I guess that's kind of my 2 cents about that particular article about spending $60 a plate. I think it's very expensive, that you can go to so many other different places where you can spend $20. Like, there are some restaurants where I know you can get, I think it's pho, and it's just a big beef noodle soup, and you can get it for $20, and it absolutely fills you up. Now, the ingredients are probably very cheap to make, probably cost them like $3 or whatever, but still $20 is a lot more reasonable than $60. I'm happy to pay $20. I can't imagine other people willing to pay $60 unless they're making such a significant salary and making so much more money that they can justify that. What do you guys think? Comment down below in the video. I'd like to know what you guys think about this. I'm sure Australia or Sydney isn't the only, I guess, city around the world that's feeling the pinch right now. It's crazy. I can get into like the whole thing about property, which I spoke with one of my friends today, but I'm not going to get into that. Maybe for another episode, we'll talk about it. But the next topic, which was super interesting, or the next article, I should say, that was super interesting. The headline goes, legal battle over $770,000 house built on wrong land in Hawaii. Let me get into the article. An American woman had a $770,000 house built on her land by mistake, and now she's being sued by the real estate developer. A Hawaiian property owner was left baffled when a $770,000 home, well, $500,000 US, was accidentally built on her plot. And the real estate developer slapped her with a lawsuit as the vacant home is being overrun by pooping squatters. You already make a mistake and then you build on my land without my permission, and then now you're suing me for it. I think her name is Annaline. I hope I'm saying it right. Annie Reynolds told the Post about the nightmare ordeal. I was so mad. That day. That's a really big mistake to make. Now, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Hawaii's fastest growing development zone is running rampant with squatters as Ms. Reynolds and the developers remain locked in a legal... Oh, my thing just loaded and disappeared. Let me try and find the article again. Let me start from here. Hawaii's fastest growing development zone is running rampant with squatters as Ms. Reynolds and the developers remain locked in a legal battle. The bewildering saga began in 2018 when Ms. Reynolds bought the 1-acre plot in Puna's Hawaiian Paradise Park for $22,500, $35,000. I believe it's Australian. At a county tax auction. She planned to move from California to be with her daughter and dreamt of using her new land, located just a mile away from stunning cliff views of the ocean, to host her meditative healing women's retreats. Not only was the parcel in the perfect location, but Ms. Reynolds felt a spiritual connection to it. It checked all the parameters, north, south, east, west coordinates, and the way that the lot is positioned in relation to the sun rising and setting, how it relates to the stars and my zodiac sign of my family, and it all aligned. So I was very interested in that property, Ms. Reynolds said. I have a deep reverence for the land, and we communicated with the land and offered our respect, and she was saying yes to us. But since then, the property has caused nothing but headaches. Like the rest of the Like the rest of the country, Miss Reynolds found her plans stalled by the pandemic and decided to wait in the Golden State for the right time to return to the island. During that time, a real estate developer had bulldozed the once vegetation-rich lot to nothing, built a concrete home, and sold it to a buyer within just 6 months, all without Miss Reynolds' knowledge. She finally learned about the mistake in June of last year when a real estate broker called and delivered the bad news that he sold the home that was accidentally built on her property for $500,000 US. The construction crew was hired by developer Keanu Development Partnership, LLC, to build about a dozen homes on properties that the developers bought in the subdivision Hawaii, News Now reported. I think it's just going to get into the whole thing. Blah, blah, she did her due diligence. I'm being sued. To be honest, yeah, it's a bit of a lengthy story. I'm probably not going to get into the whole thing. But just kind of looking from the outside in, just kind of basing my opinion of what I've just recently read, the developer made the mistake of building the wrong lot, building a house on the wrong lot, and then goes, I'm going to sue this person. They did absolutely nothing. I can't imagine in the real world how the real estate developer is going to win this case. I just can't imagine it to save my life. You made the mistake, but you want her to pay for your mistake. So then I'm guessing you can build the right house on the right property. So what you're actually saying is you want her to buy the house, but then build the house again so that way you can make your money. I don't think that's how it works, buddy. I think if anything, you probably have to knock it down. Well, actually, you really can't do anything. You were on someone else's lot. So it's up to them what they want to do. But look, I think at the end of the day, the real estate developer has to take it on the chin because, look, I don't know the legalities of this whole thing. I don't know what can happen. But if you built it on someone's lot and you made the mistake, I can't understand why the lot owner has to pay for your mistake. I don't see it. I don't understand how or why that's going to happen. But hey, that's the world we live in, which is very interesting. I'd like to hear your thoughts about that too. So comment down below on the video or, send me a DM on Instagram, Let me know what you think. I'm going to cut this part because I'm going to try to find a Reddit thread and we'll be right back. And we're back. So I found this Ask Reddit thread and it was saying, the title is, what's a terrible movie that you still love because you loved it as a kid? This is super interesting because off the top of my head, I can't really think of really bad movies that other people think are really bad, but I loved. And then I read some of the comments and I went, oh my God, I loved this movie. I don't know if, to be honest, I think there's probably one movie that has a slight cult following that I guess a lot of people may not like, but I loved and I watched it as a kid. And it was Starship Trooper, the first movie. I loved that movie. I don't know what it was. It was just, I don't know, it was great. I loved it. I don't know if anyone else thought it was a horrible movie. I think it was a B-grade movie, but it was great. It was a fantastic movie. I'd like to know your thoughts about that. But let's get into some of the comments about this because this went pretty off in the chat. So someone wrote, the terrible movie that they still love, or a terrible movie that they love because they saw it as a kid or loved it as a kid, was Van Helsing. Was critically panned for a number of reasons, but its gothic atmosphere and monster mashup premise were just too cool for my young self to resist. I still enjoy its over-the-top action and Hugh Jackman's performance. You know what? I did watch that in I think it was my early teens. I don't know exactly when that came out. And I liked that movie. I don't think it was a terrible movie if it got panned. I've honestly never agreed. I would probably say 9 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10 and never agreed shouldn't go in the same sentence. But 9 times out of 10, I don't agree with movie critics. I think a lot of the movies that critics say are amazing, again, 9 times out of 10, I don't think they're that good. I think they just get this overhype about, for whatever reason, I just think they're just not good. And then movies that I thought were so good and should be praised get panned. So I don't know. I think I'm the only one. It's not one of the reasons why I don't watch trailers. I don't watch trailers because I think it spoils the movie, especially if you're really excited or you plan on going to go watch it anyway. I think watching the trailer just ruins the movie. That's my opinion. It's a bit of a hot take, but I've spoken about that in the past before, in the past podcast. But Van Helsing, I actually really, really enjoyed that movie. One movie that someone said, which was hilarious, was Three Ninjas. I loved Three Ninjas. I loved it. Tum Tum. And someone commented, Rocky loves Emily. Oh my God. Three Ninjas. That was my childhood. I absolutely loved the Three Ninjas. My favorite one was when, I'm pretty sure it was the one where it says Rocky loves Emily, where they go to Japan and they try to find the sword, and it's like this whole thing. And that might not be the one, but that particular movie, that was my favorite Three Ninjas. There's a few other ones. There was one, I think, where Hulk Hogan was like a hero in one of the movies. And that was actually a good movie too, where they go to a theme park and he gets locked. It was like a robbery slash, I can't remember exactly what was happening, but I love that movie too. So big Three Ninjas fan. Not gonna lie. Let's see what else they said. The Deep Blue Sea. Thought it was the most thrilling movie ever at 10ish. Watched it a few times as a kid and loved it. Recently watched it again in my late 20s and realized it's beyond terrible. The Deep Blue Sea. I don't know what that movie is. The part where Samuel L. Jackson does his speech and then gets taken by the shark is top tier cinema. I honestly don't remember that particular movie. I wish I remembered. Waterworld. I've only heard bad things from everyone in the world about this movie, but I just loved it and always will. To be honest, never heard of that movie either. The Last Dragon. Never seen that movie. See, when you don't know the movie, it's 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a B grade movie. Macaulay Culkin's The Page Master. Oh, I think that was a cartoon back in like the early 2000s, late 90s. I don't remember. One wrote The Last Starfighter. I've never seen oh my God. Toy Soldiers. That was incredible. I loved Toy Soldiers. If it's the one that I'm thinking, where one of the main characters was like this lion looking thing. Oh, or was that Small Soldiers? Might be Small Soldiers. I don't remember which one. It was one. Oh, fuck. I really want to know which one it is now. Anyway, don't know. But let's go to the next Reddit thread. And we're back. So, what's a food everyone loves that you just hate with a passion? Haha. There's not really a lot of different foods that I could say that I don't like. There's only maybe, off the top of my head, there's like one particular food. Sorry. There's 3 now that I think about it. And there's one that I just cannot stand. I've tried it so many times, and no matter how many times, I just can't eat it. It's rock melon or honeydew. Every time I see it, it's get it out of my face. Honestly, it's got to be like the least. It's got to be bottom tier fruit, 100%. I don't know how people like rock melon. I know there's a lot of people that like rock melon, but I can't stand it. And there's one food that it's really hit or miss, and I have to be in a mood. And I think the mood is absolutely starving, because anything tastes good when I'm hungry. So, and it's really surprising because of my heritage, i.e. me being Greek. Olives is something that I don't really like to go out of my way to go and get or to eat. If I'm hungry and I'm starving, look, I'll eat it. If it's on a pizza mixed with other different things, I'll eat it. If it's in a salad, I may pick it out depending on my mood again. But on its own, I'm definitely not going to go for it unless I'm starving. So, want to know what your thoughts about that is, but let's see what people in Reddit said. So, What's a food everyone loves that you just hate with a passion? Those ghastly Walmart sugar cookies everyone goes nuts over. They taste like chemical sugar over dry nothingness. Oh, boring, bro. There's got to be something good. Oh, you know what? This one's good. Because I can sort of relate to this. This person wrote cake. The amount of times I've had people get seriously angry with me for turning down cake is unbelievable. Dude, I'm not going to lie. I don't hate cake. I'm not going to say I hate cake. But there are so many other desserts that I'm picking over cake. Ice cream. Nutella pizza. Like Greek dishes like lukumades. Donuts. I can almost guarantee that I would rather pick any other sweet than cake 9 times out of 10. There's really not a time. Oh, okay. Ice cream cake, special place in my heart because it's literally ice cream at the end of the day. But cake is bottom tier dessert for me. Bottom tier. All right, let's see what other people said. Let's keep scrolling. Grapefruit. Now, I think if they're talking about grapefruit, i.e., no, that's rock melon. I think is different to grapefruit. If they're talking about like grapefruit, like grapes, fucking love grapes, dude. It's a bit of a hot take. Well, this is a hot take. Oysters, like it, like I do not get it at all. Look, I get it. Because when I was younger, I was not a big fan of oysters. And then I sort of grew a liking to it. I don't know what happened. I just decided to try oysters and then I really liked it. And then I went to this one restaurant. I believe it was Aria. I think it was Aria because it was right next to the Opera House. And we ordered oysters. It was my anniversary with my wife. And it was fresh oysters, but it had like this lime, celery, apple dressing. And it was out of this world. I could have had a main meal of just that and absolutely crushed it. It was amazing. But oysters, yeah, I get it. I get how a lot of people won't like it. The textures can be really off-putting, to be honest. Like, I get it. It's kind of the same with, any type of liver. If people can't really get past the texture of liver, for me, I was like that and a little bit of the taste, but I could eat liver. Beets. I eat and enjoy anything and everything except those purple little dirt balls. Oh, look, I think as an Aussie, that's a bit of a hot take because that's part of an Aussie burger. So that's a big hot take. Oh, this person just wrote lamb, just not for me. What do you mean you don't eat no meat? It probably doesn't make sense for people who don't realize it's from my big fat Greek wedding. And she goes, that's okay. I make a lamb. No, that's a surprise. I get it's got a bit of a gamey taste, but lamb is good, dude. So good, especially on the spit. Oh, it just reminds me of Greek Easter for me, honestly. Lamb on a spit, so good. Ambrosia. Never even heard of what that is. Should look that up or try and find out exactly what it is. Oh, okay, this is good. This is going to be a hot take because I get it. I get this. His person wrote, it's a drink more than food. So he's saying he doesn't like the drink. And it's beer. I think it tastes fucking foul. Smells like ass too. I think he wrote E2A. Don't know what that means. I don't want recommendations for anything I don't like. I don't care if you think I just haven't tried the right one. I dislike beer, simple as that. If you enjoy it, cool. I don't. Look, dude, I think I'm going to end it there too because I fucking get it, dude. I've tried so many beers. No matter which beer I try, there's not one where I go, oh, this one was good. There hasn't been. I get it, dude. Like beer, I think beer is so overrated. I don't know what it is about people just loving beer. I don't get it. But I don't understand. When I go out, I'd much rather drink scotch. I'd much rather drink vodka. I'd much rather have a cocktail or even a breezer, honestly, over a beer. Because at least I'll enjoy them. But a beer, every time I get it, the first sip, like I go, okay, it's not too bad. And then as I get past halfway, it just becomes absolutely feral for me to drink. I can't do it after one beer. And honestly, I really don't enjoy it. So that is a huge hot take. I can imagine people saying, what the fuck? But yeah. And I think I'm just going to wrap it up there. It's a bit of a short potty this week. I don't like doing solos for more than an hour. I really don't like talking to myself or talking to a camera for more than half an hour. So I'm just going to leave it there. I think I touched on some really interesting topics. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I have an Instagram where I'm going to be posting, reels and TikToks and all sorts of shit. So yeah. And I'll see you guys at the next episode. Peace out.